YouTube, it is currently 1:15 in the morning when I'm recording this, night before day one. We're going to talk about what you need for the day one. This is specifically for Hunter. If you guys haven't seen ATP's video, I would go watch that as well. This is all for the Hunters for day one. This is what I will be bringing. I'm AceTheProfessor. And yeah, let's talk about it. Not only just your build, but we're going to talk about weapons and everything that I'm just having on hand for the day one. So, first and foremost, I'm pretty much rocking 70s across the board, except for grenade. I'm tossing everything into grenade. I have 144, 70 in health, 70 in melee. Like I said, 144 in grenade, or 140 you can just say, and 70 in class. And then a little bit in super, just to make sure I have my super back 4 damage. If you could have it a little bit higher, maybe even decent, a little bit better. I know a couple other people are trying a few other things too. Some people have just gone 100 melee, 100 class, and 100 grenade, as well as investing a little bit into everything else. Obviously still 70 health. But for me right now, I would just recommend going for balls to walls, grenade. It's just absurd. I mean, grapple melee is just the tech. You can use it with combination blow. You can use it with threaded spike. And obviously, you're going to be running Ascension for the day one. So, a couple things you can do. People like Ham like to use Gunpowder Gamble with Ascension. Or some people like to use Clone with Ascension. I think the most versatile and usable is probably Stylish with Ascension, because every time you're killing stuff with your abilities, you're going to get that Stylish proc. So you're going to get it off threaded kills, you're going to get it off Ascension kills, you're going to get it off grapple melee kills, and on this build, you're utilizing Facet of Purpose, Mending for healing, of course, Protection, of course, for just damage resistance all the way through, and hope to get your class ability back faster so you can spam Ascensions even quicker. Now, of course, like I said, orbs, we're going to be getting your orbs. Let's get to your mods and your armor. For the most part, I'm going to be running heavy-handed, just generating orbs that way. Sometimes I like to run loaders. I know some people are running font mods. I probably will not be running font mods. It'll probably just be loaders and heavy-handeds for the most part. But yeah, personal preference if you guys want to try some of the font mods. I know some people like ATP are trying out the grenade font to continue to scale your damage. On your helmet, I mean, I'm just running, siphons. Obviously, if you want to try Dynamo, I've heard Dynamo is really solid. So I might even pop on a Dynamo for day one. If I'm not struggling for ammo, obviously I'm probably going to be running Finders. But if I have space to run Dynamo, I will. Because you're always going to be rocking that with Ascension. So definitely something to think about bringing. As well as, of course, that's it. Actually, I lied. It's just Siphons, Dynamo, and Finders. That's it. Other things, chest is just going to be straight resist as normal. I have used the generation perks. I think they're pretty good, but in a day one, just prioritize resistances. You don't want to die to anything. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting. I've seen a lot of people do different things. I like to run scavs most of the time, especially with the ammo economy being pretty bad right now. With recoup, I know some people like better already. But if you guys don't want to run scavs, I would recommend running Absolution, of course. Is very solid, and Elemental Charge. I think that's what ATP is running. But yeah, I'm a fan of scavs. I like recoup just for the boost to health right away. Adding that with my 70 is pretty much old recoup. You're getting close to 75 health with this. I think I'm sitting around 70. It's 66 health per orb because of my health stats. At 73 with recoup. Recoup's an extra 15. So sitting at 73. And on your class item, I would say there's two ways you could go with this. I personally think this is the best way. You're just going Reaper, Powerful Attraction. If you kill something and you pop your Ascension, you're going to get an orb right away. Or if you pop your Ascension and then kill something, you'll drop an orb. And you're going to get Powerful Attraction. You're going to be scooping up them orbs easy, fast. And if you get a Finny, you get some special ammo for it. So simple. Nothing really changes there. I think for the most part, I'm going to be using an exotic primary for day one if I can. If I'm not, I'm using something like Multi-Mock, or I'm using, something like the Rapid Fire Auto from Gauss, the Reckless Oracle. Really solid option, and definitely something to look at for day one. But yeah, most of the time I'll be using exotic primary, something like Retrograde to pair with it, an Area of Denial GL, or a special sidearm. I have a couple snipers here kind of in the back, like Omniscient Eye and Praetus, just for long range damage if I need it when I'm running out of my heavy. But yeah, for Connect slot, sticking with Kvastov in Retrograde, Mountaintop, Scatter Signal, Perfect Paradox, Praetus, Multi-Mock, Lost Signal, Tenacious. Kind of the staples that you guys see in Endgame. If you want any of my rolls, they're all here. The only thing that I would recommend, my mint doesn't have it, but I actually think Master of Arms is not bad on this thing, because when you get kills with other weapons or this weapon, you're going to be stonking for damage percent towards your weapon at all times. I think Rewind's solid. I think Hatchling is solid in the third column. But yeah, I think Master of Arms is just the easiest thing to use for this, because you're just getting a damage buff just by getting kills with any weapon. One for All is nice, but it's super ammo hungry, so it's kind of less effective. And like One for All, what I have on here, or sorry, not One for All. There's another perk besides One for All that a lot of people have been using. Chain Reaction, actually. I feel like Chain Reaction is a little bit better than One for All, but I still think Master of Arms is better because the explosion is not that big for pulses. So for the energy slot, I mean, Orb Printer, people have been saying the orbs are super nerfed. It's honestly fine. It's also just an area of denial. If you guys like Psychopomp, definitely try that as well. Whatever personal preferences in the energy slot for you is totally fine. But yeah, I'm going to be using Velocity Baton. Yeah, Baron Action, Lotus Eater, absolute stunners, must-haves for day one. Personal preference, whatever you guys want. Talked about Omniscient Eye just for backup damage. You guys can run, Envious Vorpal, or 4 times PI. I like 4 times PI for more total, but I think either are totally fine. I talked about Reckless Oracle, one of the best primaries right now in the game. Super good origin trait when you're popping shields, you're blinding things. If it's the same energy type, in this case, it'll be Void because it's Reckless Oracle. You will blind everything in an area, which is pretty hype, or disorienting as it's called now. I like Sunshot. I like Grav. I like Trinity. Whatever you want to bring, that's fine. I personally am going to be rocking Sunshot for the most part because you're getting Radiant. So if you guys can use solar weapons, I would. That's why I also have Red Death in the back of my pocket here. You get Cure. You're getting Anti-Barrier. You're getting Radiant. It's very good. Obviously, Radiant gives you Anti-Barrier, but in this case, you're getting it because of the artifact with pulses. Lord is going to be the ultimate major chunking weapon. You definitely want to bring this. It is absurdly good, especially with Choir out of the mix. I was a huge Choir fan. I still am, of course, but not being able to use it for the day one is pretty fried, so pretty unlucky. But definitely still bring Lord for boss damage and also just chunking majors. It's absurd. And then Still Hunt's just backup. Yeah, if we have a precision boss, if we have anything Witness-like, we will be bringing this thing. Yeah, and the heavy slot, always have an Eager Sword, whatever your preference is. I just have the Slammer. Hezen Vengeance, of course, for rockets. Corrective is my personal favorite LMG in the game. I know a lot of people like Fixed Odds, think that's totally fine. Some people like Commemoration, also very good. Or the LMG from the last season, the Arc one, is not bad either. Honestly, whatever you guys want. I just have a Surrounded Sword here. It's kind of subject to change. If there's a sword boss, I have a couple options. Something like this, or the Waveframe Sword from Salvation's Edge is pretty solid with Chaos Reshaped, stuff like that where you're not in a surrounded situation, or the Hunter specific sword, which is, I can't remember the name of it right now. Here, I'll pull it up for you real quick. But if you're in a situation where you can't use surrounded, is very solid. Gold Tusk. So if you guys need to run Gold Tusk, kind of keep that in the back of your mind for general sword damage. Obviously, Guillotine is still very good. And I would definitely, I have one of those as well in the vault. If you guys want a double damage perk, definitely not bad. I just think for like day ones, I'm usually using Relentless and things like that just because you want more ammo efficient stuff. Queensbreaker, of course, a must-have for day one. I think Whisper is also something that I'm kind of considering depending on how the boss looks. Because I know Whisper ammo is a lot more efficient right now than Queensbreaker, but I know Queensbreaker has a little bit more burst damage, so it's kind of finding your spots for these weapons. Gala, of course, just great add clear weapon, for that time where I am not using exotic primary. I feel like for the most part I will be, but just in case, and if you guys are running rockets, having a designated galley person for your fire team, obviously solid. And I do have Acreus, which is kind of a weird one, but it's always been good in day ones. I feel like with a situation like Lord of Wolves, if I'm worried about ammo ever, and we want like a close damage boss and swords are not doing well, Acreus is always a good rotational piece. Other things that you can think about, Parasite, Xenophage are always, sometimes decent. Geo possibly, but I feel like with Grand Overture right now, you're probably just going to use Queens over that, or Whisper or something like that is, I feel like, generally better at the moment. If there's no precision, then maybe, but I feel like at that point you're just using rockets. But if it's long, then maybe you pull out the Grand Overture. That's kind of my day one setup for now, at least for Ad Clear. Like I said, that's a lot of information, but hopefully we're able to kind of condense it all. This is kind of my day one Hunter build. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I think Hunter is super versatile, sorry. And there's a bunch of different things you can do, especially with Combo Blow. I don't know if I said it, but if you guys do like Combo Blow, with this Certarachne Hoyle build. I don't know if I said I'm using Certarachne Hoyle, by the way. Sorry. That is the build. That is what all hunters are using. Certarachne gives you the Woven Mail. Hoyle is to get your abilities back faster, of course, and that also empowers your other 2 abilities. So definitely the only ad clear thing that I will be using on day 1, probably. There are a couple other options that I have, like Synthos Assassin, I think is solid. I think Synthos Caliban is solid. I have Coyote for very specific things, but I doubt I'm ever going to use it, and Galdor as well, I doubt I'm ever going to use it. This will be like in a case where like if I had to tether, and then we also need to do like melee damage for some reason with like glaives, but we just won't. It's so niche. You're never really going to use any of that. You're not really going to do glaive damage ever because Winterbite, no Nobel, so no reason. But yeah, that's it. Cert Hoyle is the move. That is the ad clear build. Any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to respond to as many before day 1 as possible. And of course, after I clear, I will also be going back to this video and answering some of your guys' comments. But I think right now, these are generally like the best, weapons in the kinetic energy slot that you can bring. Heavy as well, stuff like that. And I mean, it doesn't really get better than this. You're making so many orbs from your guns, from your melees, from, everything else, and you're getting healing off your grenade. Like, this build is just so stupid. For ad clear loadouts, sorry, I should have said this. I mean, Squall or Tether is going to be good if you're in an ad clear situation. I think Squall is probably best because you're getting damage resistance, and it just, also stuns a few champs. So keep that in mind. And then Goldie is going to be when you're in a boss encounter. You need to swap to Celestial Nighthawk, which I'm going to show you the build for right now. So don't worry about the weapons right now. That's just kind of a placeholder I have at the moment. So currently, what I have been told, I've been told a couple different things, and you can kind of take your word for it here. Super and weapons are the most important stats, of course. From what I've seen, having a little bit more weapons, I think is a good idea because you're getting more off of your heavy than you are your super. But obviously, your super is absurd and it does an insane amount of damage. So do not, leave any stats out. If you guys farmed illegal armor, that is definitely the wave. You're going to want to put font mods on your helmet. You're going to want surges on your boots for sure, for whatever damage you're using. So in this case, I had queens, right? So I had arc surges. Yeah, just get that weapon stat as high as you can. Get the super stat as high as you can. Right now with the font mods, it's sitting at like 170, which is absurd, right? I'm going to get a bunch of extra damage. I might bump it to 200, not 100% sure. Kind of got to talk to my team more about what we think is more valuable, but I think right now weapons is going to be just a little bit more valuable because it's an extra 5%, which is kind of a lot when you're thinking about like a damage scenario for the entire damage phase, right? Compared to maybe, an extra 10% on your super. So obviously all of the fragments are going to remain the same because I'm in a damage loadout and I can't, I don't want to lose all my, abilities like my golden gun. But I am usually rotating my abilities. So you're going to be in a well most of the time and you're going to have Radiant, available, so you shouldn't really have to worry about that. But if you need to run Radiant Dodge, you can. I always love running a loader, a Marksman Dodge to load your weapons, as well as a Snare to weaken, and Duskfield for the people that are running Courage. This loadout is not running Courage, unfortunately, just because of how the Stylish nerf has affected this loadout a little bit. I would honestly, instead of... also Dawn. Facet of Dawn is absurd. It would be super helpful, but we can't really run that right now. But the nice thing, of course, is you do have the solar weapon mod, which is going to cook for us. So that's always something to think about, is the Fever and Chill mod. So when you get those rapid precision hits, you're going to get Radiant anyway. So it's not the biggest deal. And also, when you're in a well, like I said, you're going to have Radiant all the time for damage anyway. So that's the abilities. As far as other things, surges, of course, you're going to want time dilation on the cloak. You want to make sure those armor charges stay up longer. I just have resistances still on the chest piece. I like loaders, of course, on my gauntlets for my ammo, whatever it is. Sometimes dexterity as well. If you have a high reload or like for some swaps, like I'll have dexes on if I'm using Hesitant Vengeance because this automatically reloads itself anyway. So food for thought there. And yeah, of course, fonts in the helmet. That's kind of it. That's the hunter build. Selly, cert, done deal. A lot of people are saying the same thing. This is just the go-to, what you need, and hopefully it was helpful. I appreciate you watching. So it was about 15 minutes of me just yapping here for a second. And yeah, if you have any questions in the comments, feel free to ask me. But this is kind of what I'm rocking for day 1. Exotic primary is good for ammo. Rocking really good ad clear specials, and of course, just the best heavies in the game that you can offer. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching and listening. We'll see you soon. Have a good night. Deuces.